Hi, and welcome to another podcast from agilecoach.com.au. We're going to have a chat today, following on from the last chat with Ollie and Sandika, who have joined us. Ollie, product owner, and Sandika, Scrum Master. How you doing, guys?
Very well, very well. Thank you, Alex.
Awesome. What sort of weekend did you have? Anything interesting?
I've got a toddler, so my tour of Sydney playgrounds is ongoing. That's
Nice,
pretty much what we do on the weekends.
nice.
You've been there, Alex, and you
Yeah,
too, Sandeep. You know how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, in Sydney, we used to go to. There was a big slider at the where the IMAX is in front of
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's good down
There
there.
used to be a big slider. I think they took it off last time I was
Yeah.
there. It's no longer there.
And
Yeah, my weekend I was mowing my and slashing grass.
I did
Um,
some mowing. First mow of the year. Surely the first
Mm.
mow down in Melbourne as well, but it's the first mow of the year. So we'll see. We'll see. If anyone ever visits Sydney and doesn't know where to go playground wise, it is where Sandika just said, which is down in Darling Harbour. They got like a
Yeah, it's a
water
good one.
park and everything. It's
It's a good
absolutely
one. Yeah.
brilliant. And there's a
yeah,
McDonald's right by it as well. So if
yeah,
you fancy a cheap meal as well, that's never bad.
And a Brazilian barbecue if you fancy a little bit more. Very
yes,
good.
If you're
Yeah.
posh.
highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
All right. All right. Right. Well, so what we're going to chat about today is the poll that we put up on the agilecoach.com.au LinkedIn page about 2 weeks ago. We got quite a good response rate to it. It's not quite in the hundreds, but we got quite a few people. And the question was, do you primarily see Agile as a mindset or a methodology? And the results of that poll, it didn't surprise me that mindset got 75% and methodology only got 25%. In fact, my surprise was that it was quite so many for methodology. So I thought I'd ask you guys what you think, and then what we'll do is we'll have a discussion about why people think that and why, if that number surprises you. So, Sandika, what would you answer to first most agile is mindset or methodology?
Very interesting question, isn't it? Look, can I take a step back? I thought I would go and see what the Oxford Dictionary says.
Hmm.
First of all, agile is an adjective, so it comes in front of a noun. That's as far as my English goes. So agile organization, agile team, agile person, whatever it is, the noun that we are describing. And the dictionary goes to explain this. I'm just looking at it and reading it from internet. But able to move quickly and easily, um, able to think quickly and act in an intelligent way
Hmm.
is agile. And it goes to say in business context, describes way of managing projects. And also it goes to say that describes the way of working in which time and place of work and the roles of people carry out, blah, blah, blah. So
Hmm.
kind of describes everything that we know agile to be, you know. But more directly to the question, a lot of people who embrace agile come to think of agile as a way of delivering value, or project management, or delivery management. But I think deep down is a mindset. Those who practice it at the core, it is, that you need to develop a sense of um, different ways of thinking, different ways of approaching things. I think it's deep down it's a mindset. But when you first embrace it, I think we all embrace it as a way of
Yeah.
delivering things differently to a traditional way of delivering things. So most people might resonate with delivery when it comes to agile, but I would say if you spend quality time understanding the philosophies around agile, then it becomes a mindset. That'll be my long answer.
Yeah.
Uh, um, yeah, does that make
Well,
sense? Like,
it does. I don't know the
yeah,
difference between an adjective and a noun, but we'll leave that, and you can explain that to me afterwards. Um, Ollie, I think
you are the
Sandeep.
English, you
I
are the
think Sandeep.
Englishman, you know.
Oh, I know that's the problem. We don't do English at school, so not in the north of England anyway. So I think you landed on mindset as being what you would have answered though, right? So Ollie, which one are you going to land on?
Yeah, I'm going mindset too. So the methodology part, in my working experience, no one place does the same methodology, right? It's a bit borrowing, a bit from here, a bit from there. I've been in organizations where it's a blend of waterfall and agile. I've been in Scrum teams. I've been in Kanban teams. I've been, with different stripes, with different methodologies. So I think the one unifying thing through those different organizations has been the mindset. And I think there's a couple of examples or characteristics of that mindset that kind of carry through, which is the concept of, you know, um, dropping into production early, test and learn, iterate, um, seek feedback, and then readjust and go again. And I think that's not necessary. I mean, yes, you could make an argument that's part of the methodology, but I think that's probably being generous. I think that's probably more of a mindset thing. I've joined a company where agile maturity was very, very low. And at that company, the concept that getting those people, business stakeholders, used to getting something early into production that wasn't the full shebang, it was a component of value which you then iterate over the top, was really challenging for them because they wanted the whole thing to be released. And you say, look, maybe we can do a release at 3 month mark, and then we can think about how the market is meeting that, and thinking, and then we'll go again at 6 months. And that was very challenging because they want everything done, and then the big bang release. So mindset is something that when you've worked in agile for a while or with agile, you start taking it for granted, I think. And when you go into an environment where agile maturity is low, and you're reminded of what a non-agile mindset means and is, and it is a very different place to be.
Yeah. Can I just throw another question at you both? Maybe before we jump on to why it's seen by a quarter of the people as just being primarily about thing. If I ask you the same question, but Scrum. So Scrum's the most popular framework, right? And maybe Safe's going to take over at some point. But if I ask the same question, Scrum, is Scrum a mindset or a method, Sandika? Which would you answer then? Would you answer the same?
Look, Scrum is, for me, is a framework. It's a bunch of tools and a way of doing things. So yeah, the simple answer is a framework that enables agility, if I may say so. Yeah, that's how I would put it.
I'd agree with that. You're starting to get a bit more prescriptive with the particular type now. And so there are, what is Scrum, versus what is Kanban? Two different things, right? You need to be quite prescriptive with the way that you're running things in order to meet the description of that versus that. So that is, yes, you need the mindset should be there, but that operates at almost a higher level. But you're talking specifically around the tenets of a particular methodology.
I think.
But have you guys heard about? I've heard it being said that Scrum, for example, is not a framework; it's a methodology, or it's a Have you? Do you know what I mean, there, Alex? Have you heard that one?
So yes, and as Sandika said it, I didn't want to split the hairs on the terminology that we use. I think I prefer framework because when you talk about method, it sounds very process-driven, linear, or circular, as opposed to when you've got a framework, it talks a bit about roles, it talks a bit about the structures that you're going to have, and that's why I prefer framework. But I tell you what, some of the times people leave that on the shelf and they just take the process. And that's why I think quite often people fail to get Scrum right even. And Scrum's pretty straightforward, right? Kanban's even more straightforward, but it's pretty straightforward. But it's also very easy to get it wrong. It's like baking bread. first time I baked bread, I didn't put yeast in because I thought, I'll just miss it out. So, seriously, as a student. But it's really, really important that you put that ingredient in, it turns out. It just doesn't, it's
What
not,
came out of the oven?
yeah. I'll tell you the whole story at some point, how I got rid of it as well afterwards. But you've got to put the ingredients in.
Yeah, 100%. I think the important point that Oli mentioned, just because you are doing, say, sprints as per Scrum, doesn't mean you are agile. Just because you have a team a size of 7 to 9 people in your team, because Scrum framework says so or Scrum guide says so, doesn't mean you are agile. Just because you have a bunch of people, with T-shaped people or cross-functional teams, doesn't make you agile because Scrum says so. If what makes you agile is your purpose. As Oli said, if you put Scrum onto a waterfall project, that will still work. You say, okay, you are going to do a traditional project plan, and this is what we are going to do in the first sprint, design. Second sprint, you do development. Third sprint, you do testing, and then you put to production. That doesn't make you agile. You might say, oh, we are doing sprint planning. What are you planning? We are planning the design activities, and then you'll say, we are planning for the. So it's the mindset that applies to the framework that makes you agile. Like if you don't have the intention of going to market with a hypothesis, or failing fast, or whatever that makes you agile, or beat your competitors, or whatever that your intentions are, none of it will make you agile. So yeah.
So in a nutshell, and Ollie, I'd be interested, because from a product point of view, why would you bother iterating when you can just have all the benefits of sprints, have a plan, and also deliver the plan? What would be the benefit of having iterations? Why don't we just go and do it linear?
Linear, you mean A to Z?
Yeah. Requirements to delivery,
one big
test,
and then big bang release.
Yeah. What's the difference? If we're doing sprints, that's good enough, isn't it?
Well, the idea of iterations is that you're exposing what you're building to the market, right? And you're allowing your customer base to interact with your MVP or your first release, and to tell you things that you might not see, you might not know. For example, there's all kinds of reasons why you would do iterative process. It gives you more time. Another example could be it gives you more time to, plan for, or
I think you've already answered it there. I think
that's probably the prime example. Give the market some time to look at your release, and then feedback on it, right? And then you plan for second, third releases.
You said one thing which is absolutely key, that people have to accept, and I don't think you're vulnerable when you say this, is you don't know. You don't know what it needs to be.
Yeah.
If you really did know what the customer wanted, then you wouldn't need to ever iterate. If you really did know how the software worked or how you were going to build something, so the unknowns on a project, even a small project. I talked about doing my garden. Even doing my garden, I don't know if there's rock underneath there when I start digging. So why would I plan? Why would I go out and buy stuff until I know that? So why don't I dig that hole, see if there's rock there, and then see if I need to buy the extra concrete? You just don't know. And if you always live in that mindset, now we're moving on to that mindset. That was my mindset when I'm digging a hole, because I've now got that mindset.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have this myth saying, "Oh, if you're agile, you don't have a plan." Actually, that's common phrase, isn't it? Like, oh,
Totally.
that means you don't have a plan, right? It means you have many plans. It's just that you are making decisions just at the right time, rather than making decisions very early with little information, and obviously you're going to make the wrong decision, and hence go down the wrong path. So you have many options open, and then you keep making decisions as it develops. So you'll have a plan. Obviously, Oli would tell you, you'll have a roadmap, you'll have a product roadmap. So you have certain plans and goals that you want to achieve, but you just don't get fixated on that. That's where the mindset piece comes in. You don't go fixated on that. You allow and embrace what the environment brings to you, your competitors brings to you, and you have that nimbleness in your capability by adapting some of the frameworks. That's what the frameworks gives you. If you look at it, Oli, just to complete that, if you look at Scrum, for example, you are probably waterfall in what you do within the 2 weeks, but it's a time box. If you are to
Yeah.
waste, you are only wasting 2 weeks, instead of 6 months. You might do bit of design, bit of spiking, whatever you do bit of development, bit of testing. You will throw away only 2 weeks worth of work, not so that's
I hope so,
that's the
yeah.
primary idea.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to practice. 100%, yes.
So I think an analogy for why you would release iteratively, an analogy would be a pearl necklace. All right. So the pearl necklace has got 9 pearls on it, right? So if you do Big Bang, you're going to put that out in the market with all 9 on there. Okay. But each one of those pearls is a different piece of value that is going to benefit customers, benefit the company, etc. Why wait for all 9 to be done? Put it out in the market with 1 on there. Then you build the second one. 1 is now working for you. You put the second one out. That's working for you now, delivering benefit to customers. 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. That's the way to think about it. You don't need to go Big Bang all the time, deliver the whole shebang. Just to extend this a little bit, that by the time you put that 9 out, if you do Big Bang, market might have changed, right? Because it's taken you that long to build it, and things change out in the market. So rather you do 1 and then you finger in your house the market, then you do 2, then you do 3, etc.
Yeah. And being first is important. I mean, if it's a new market, or even if it's a market that's established and you've brought a new edge to it, if your competitors get out first and they pearls.com and they start selling and they start to grow, you're not ever going to be able to penetrate that market. It's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So being first is so incredibly important. And obviously you picked an established one there, but anything, Uber's not necessarily better than its competitions, but I think it was there first. It certainly had got the good features out first, the ones that are absolutely critical. Look where it's gone. It's massive. We could pick a number of examples in the last 10 years. Companies you've never heard of 10 years ago, but they were the first with a good idea. If they'd have waited for all of their ideas to come out, they wouldn't have been. And actually, the truth is there are those companies. They did exist and they failed. And the markets decided that the ones that succeed were the ones that were able to adapt to change. It's evolution in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other thing is, Alex, if I may add, if you think agile, and if you want to be agile as a team or as an organization, you bring like-minded people, and they work like catalysts, and they will bring mostly the problems out to begin with, and the waste out, and then you have to have the gut for it as a leadership. If you don't have the gut for it, don't call for agile. Just do whatever you are doing now and be happy with it. If you bring agile and different way of working or different way of thinking, then those people are going to challenge the status quo, and you have to have the gut for it. And that's where the mindset piece comes in. If the leadership doesn't have the mindset to accept failure, so accept the reality, then none of the rest matters. What framework you adopt, what consultants you hire, it doesn't matter. So that's the other thing that most of the organizations miss out on. They push back on people. If you start pushing back on people who are challenging the status quo because of politics or because of failure, afraid to failure, then it wouldn't work. You might have the framework working, but you're not agile.
Totally. So I want to move on to that second part and find out what you think, why the balance was 1/4. But there's a couple of things. First, I want to give a shout out for Linda Peach, someone I work with at the university, who responded to the questionnaire on LinkedIn because the question was, first and foremost, agile is, and then let them pick and she just replied, annoying. which I thought was actually quite insightful to how some people do see it. It is oh, you must get an iPhone, you must get an iPhone, you must go agile, all that kind of thing. So I remember one of the reasons why I think the frameworks are really, really important is when you do introduce an agile mindset, So some of the stuff we've discussed, right, we want to work iteratively. If you're used to working linear and doing a big bang, as soon as you bring in, right, we're going to work iteratively, people will say, oh, but then how do we do this? Then how do we do this? You're changing the rules. How do we do this? And the framework's going to help you do that. So sometimes when we do implement it, we focus on the framework because it answers those questions. But onto the second part. So what what do you think was the division between those people? Obviously, we had more people who said mindset, which was refreshing. But why do you think there was 25% who said it's just method, it's not mindset? And is that a concern to you, Ollie?
It's not a concern to me. I think the people who answered that survey are probably mixed maturity level. I think when you first come into this, you're just thinking about the methodology and all the tools in the box and what's written in paper and how you might implement it. And so you think, okay, cool. This is a methodology. This is a framework. I can start to understand this and build mental models of how this is going to be laid out, etc. And then so over time that you realize that really isn't that important. It's more the way that you think and your kind of your mental models of how you're going to carry this out. And so, not to say, I don't think there is 100% right answer here. I know my answer would be mindset, but I think that's it. It's probably a maturity thing. That's my sense.
Yeah.
It's a risky call, but that's what I'd say.
Sandika?
Yeah, look, I agree with that. I was thinking about myself when I got introduced to Scrum, a few years ago. It came as a way of doing things differently. It didn't come across as no one told me that it's a mindset. You have to go and embrace the mindset. Go and use Scrum to deliver this. That was the message. So I think most of us embrace these frameworks or come across these frameworks, and then we start learning these are agile frameworks or whatever, and that's how we start. I think that's that. So it's a maturity thing, I guess. Yeah.
And I guess we should be happy. I mean, I think the result of the survey is pretty good, because if we've got 75% people actually going, actually, it's really important that you think like that, and maybe even we're happy with the idea that agile is 75% mindset and 25% practical, and that's a nice enough balance for me. I think, Ollie, you're bang on. I think maturity as well. I think if you really want agile to work in an organization, this is going back to my time as a coach, you really want your leaders thinking about the agile principles and the values of agile, and you really want your doers, and I'm separating leaders and doers. I know I shouldn't do that, and it's not a clear line, and we don't want to be doing that, but you really want your doers thinking about, how do I do this, how do I implement agile, how do I get this working? But you really need your leaders to stop thinking about, are you doing sprints? You really want them to have the mindset, and I think that would be a fair enough split. All right.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's it for this week. I think we've done a good chat there around mindset versus method. I've got another poll out. I forgot what it was now, but there's another poll out on the LinkedIn now, and we maybe chat about that one next time. Oh, estimating, that's what it is. Why do we estimate? And I've already had some comments about story points, and someone suggested we should change the definition of story points if nobody understands it, which is fair enough. I suppose that's one way we can make things work. But all there is to say, thank you guys for joining. Another great chat, and thank you to everybody listening or watching in. Visit the website at agilecoach.com.au or LinkedIn or Apple Podcasts or YouTube to get some of the previous conversations or podcasts that we've had. Thanks very much, guys.